Well, it's one thing to cross them in Congress, but it's another thing to have a foreign country come and engineer this kind of spectacular attack on America, as you're suggesting happened on 9/11. Wouldn't the Israelis have seen this as a gamble that would have such possible negative consequences that they wouldn't want to go that far?
I recall a study that was published just a day or two before 9/11. It was done by the School for Advanced Military Studies at Fort Leavenworth, a student paper, and one of the comments was to describe Mossad as ruthless and cunning, capable of conducting attacks against Americans and making it appear as if the Arabs had done it.
That was an interesting coincidence.
Wasn't it?
But again, it's one thing to do that kind of attack in Lebanon, and blow up a bunch of Marines or something, which may or may not have been what happened there. And it would be another thing to be, blowing up the World Trade Center on live TV, killing thousands of people. It's just so big. And you were quoted as saying that you saw it as kind of an all or nothing gamble.
Yeah, I think it is. It's and part of it depends upon the character of the Israeli government, and that the fact that they had in the Bush administration in Washington an enormous number of like-minded people, of people who were theirs, some of them dual citizens. There is such a thing as a target of opportunity, and I think their gamble paid off. Their gamble has paid off. I was talking to someone, and I don't like to speculate. I think I've worked this through fairly carefully, and I'm still comfortable with my conclusion. I was talking to a friend yesterday evening about this on the net, and she said, "Well, do you have any idea how this unfolded?" He said, "Was it really just the Mossad?" And I said, if I was going to speculate. And Kevin, please be sure, this is speculation. Big capital letters, bold-faced, italicized. Not a conclusion. Okay, I'm not presenting this as the answer. Okay, please be sure that's understood. But trying to reconcile the competing parts of this. And I said, the only thing that makes sense, that seems to make sense, before any type of a real detailed investigation of the people and the places, is that it was a double hijacking. Way back in the 80s, when I was friends with some Israelis, some senior Israelis, and I was having a session in Washington with a couple of Israeli colonels, and we were talking about their use of special operations forces, because I was interested in that as well, and from a military side, we were sort of paralleling what had happened, what the Soviets were doing in Afghanistan and so forth. And one of them made an observation, and please understand that the circumstances were such that there was no need for bombast, and the guy wasn't inclined to bombast anyway. He said, we have penetrated or compromised every single Arab political and terrorist organization.
And that's not surprising. Yeah.
And it doesn't surprise me at all either. I had not heard it before because I did NATO Europe, I did NATO Warsaw Pact, I did Red Blue stuff up there, and this was the Middle East was out there, and yes, I'm aware of it, but I really didn't focus. And I thought that was really
half Israeli Jews are native Arabic speakers and pass for Arabs perfectly.
Yeah, so it's very easy to do that, and there would also be a certain percentage of Israeli Arabs who for money or fear or whatever would be willing to do that. There always is a percentage in any population. There were some Jews who worked for the SS. What can you do? And I thought about that when I was looking at the 9/11. I said, if that held, if their intelligence was that good, and there's no reason to suggest that it was not. I mean, one of the things that facilitates their assassination policy is that they have that kind of intelligence. This may very well have been a hijacking. The idea that there's a spectacular 4-plane hijacking, where 4 planes wander off someplace, and it's that would be dramatic. I don't think it was, but that was a possibility. And
okay, you're gonna have to summarize this because we're just about at the end.
Okay, and that Mossad, having become aware of it, saw this as a golden opportunity and took it and effectively hijacked the hijackers.
Okay, and how would they do that? In other words, how would Mossad be able to remote fly
RPVs? Dov Zakheim, who I knew in the 70s and 80s, ran a company that specialized in RPV and drone technology. I have been told by aviators it's possible. I cannot verify that because I'm not an engineer.
Right. And
certainly
so
not an
I've read
avionics.
that as well. Fascinating. Well, I'm really sorry we've reached the end of today's hour because I'm ready for another hour, Alan.
I am too.
You want to come back sometime in the not-too-distant future?
Let's talk about that and do it. Yeah, I think so. But, I've always been told that you don't want to go back to the well too quickly unless other people be bored with you. So let's give it a month or so, but that'll be your convenience, and we can talk about it in between. But, yes, I'd love to be back. I enjoy it.
Sounds good. I appreciate it. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Appreciate your courage in speaking out on this. Wish you well and look forward to talking again.
Thank you, Kevin.
Take care.
All the best.
You too. Bye. That was Dr. Alan Sabrosky, the former Director of Studies at the Strategic Studies Institute of the U.S. Army War College, talking about his hard and fast conclusion that it was the Israeli Mossad that did 9/11. We'll be back with more outside-the-box thinking and controversial material next week. So until then, have a great week.